This video is about Odysseus escapes Sirens but storm hits. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. Part 1: The Call of the Sirens. In the age when gods and mortals danced upon the edges of destiny, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, stood upon the deck of his withered ship, the Norse **. The salty sea breeze tousled his dark hair as he peered ahead, where the horizon shimmered with the promise and peril of the unknown. He was a man marked by the hands of fate, having already outwitted Cyclopes and faced the wrath of gods. Yet now, another trial awaited him. The crew, weary from their long voyages, murmured among themselves, their hearts heavy with despair. Rumors of the Sirens, those fabled temptresses of the sea, drifted through their minds like smoke. The tales spoke of voices that lulled sailors to their doom, singing songs of longing and fate, weaving illusions so sweet that no mortal could resist. Each sailor was a thread in the tapestry of Odysseus' destiny, and he knew that to falter meant to unravel them all. "We must remain vigilant," he commanded, his voice slicing through the fog of uncertainty. "The Sirens are near, and their song is one of seduction, but I have prepared for this. We will not succumb to their enchanting lure." He turned to his loyal companion, the ever-faithful Eurylochus, who stood with his brow furrowed in deep concern. "Eurylochus, heed my words. You will take the crew and bind me to the mast. At no point should you listen to their call. If I plead, if I beg for release, do not yield." Odysseus' resolve was fierce, though a shadow of doubt flickered in his chest. As they sailed onward, the wind whispered secrets, carrying with it the haunting melodies of the Sirens. A shiver ran through Odysseus' spine, a premonition that even the gods would envy. The sun dipped lower, casting golden rays over the waves, but soon it would be swallowed by darkness. Suddenly, the water around them shimmered, and the air thickened with an unnatural gravity. "Prepare yourselves," Odysseus shouted as the first notes of the siren song wafted across the waters. It was a sound that promised lost loves and forgotten dreams, a melody that spoke to the very core of a man's heart. "Odysseus," the voices sang, sweet as honey. "Come closer, listen to our tales, for they are richer than treasure. Let us share with you the knowledge of the ages, the secrets of the world." Their allure was undeniable, and even the strongest of men felt their resolve falter. "Bind me," Odysseus roared, desperation etching lines in his face. Eurylochus, with trembling hands, secured his king to the mast, fear and loyalty battling within him. The crew, with wax-filled ears, braced themselves against the onslaught of temptation. As the Sirens sang, their forms emerged from the ocean, beautiful maidens with flowing hair, their eyes glistening with otherworldly allure. They beckoned, their fingers dancing through the air like silken threads weaving a spell that wrap around the hearts of men. "Leave behind your burdens, come to us, and you shall know delight," they crooned, their harmonies entwining with the wind, thickening the air with desire. "Stay steady," Odysseus bellowed, his voice raw against the symphony of seduction. "We are stronger than mere song. Remember your homes, your families." And yet even he felt the pull, an echo of yearning that resonated deep within his soul. But just as it seemed the crew might crumble, a crack of thunder shattered the spell. A storm brewed on the horizon, dark clouds billowing like the wrath of the gods. Zeus, in his jealousy, had turned his gaze upon the mortal realm, furious at Odysseus for daring to chart his course through the Sirens' domain. "Bend to the storm," Odysseus shouted, his eyes alight with a fierce determination. "Steady the sail, we fight against the wind." The sea surged as waves slashed against the ship with the ferocity of a wild beast, tossing them like a leaf in the tempest. "Faster, Eurylochus, we must navigate through this madness," Odysseus cried, his heart pounding against his chest, the noise of thunder drowning out the Sirens' lament. As dark clouds churned overhead, the Sirens' song faded, replaced by the roaring of the winds. "They will not let us pass so easily, Odysseus," Eurylochus yelled, struggling against the tempest. "We must turn back." "Mouth," Odysseus exclaimed fiercely. "I will not be a prisoner of the gods' winds." With ropes digging into his flesh, he strained against his bindings, feeling the power of the storm surge around him, mingling with the last echoes of the Sirens' call. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck the sea mere yards from their ship, sending up a spray of salt water that drenched them all. The vessel creaked ominously as the waves rose to monstrous heights, threatening to swallow them whole. "Hold firm," Odysseus commanded, his voice ringing out above the chaos. "We face divine punishment, but we shall not falter, persevere." The crew, fueled by their king's unwavering spirit, clung to their posts, their eyes wide with fear yet filled with determination. As they fought against the storm, Odysseus felt his heart torn between the song of the Sirens and the roar of the waves. In that moment, he realized that destiny was not just a path laid before him, but a battleground, a struggle against the very forces of fate. With each crushing wave, his resolve forged stronger. He was a warrior, a hero, and he would not let the gods dictate the course of his journey. "Brothers," he shouted, his voice echoing through the tempest. "We are more than pawns in a game. Fight for your homes, for your families, fight for each other." Just as the storm reached its peak, a monstrous wave surged towards them, towering like a titan. Odysseus braced himself, his heart pounding as he felt the ship rise, lifting them to the cusp of disaster. With a roar that rivaled the storm, he shouted, "Now!" The crew worked in unison, pulling on the sails, adjusting their course against the tide. The ship lurched and swayed, but they held fast, their muscles screaming in protest. United in purpose, they drew strength from one another, a brotherhood forged in the fires of adversity. As they descended the monstrous wave, lightning illuminated the sea, revealing the Sirens once more, their voices a haunting echo against the backdrop of chaos. "Odysseus," they sang, desperation woven into their melody. "Surrender to us, we will grant you peace." But Odysseus, bound yet unbroken, raised his head defiantly. "You shall not have me, I am the master of my fate." In that declaration, he found a flicker of hope, a reminder that even in the grip of divine power, a man could carve his own path. The ship crashed down, the impact reverberating through the wood, but they rode through the storm, each soul aboard refusing to yield. The waves surged, crashing against the sides, but the Nausicaa persisted, buoyed by the strength of its crew and the indomitable spirit of its captain. Just as the storm began to relent, the wind shifted, carrying them away from the Sirens' reach. The haunting calls faded into the distance, replaced by the desperate cries of the tempest. As dawn broke, casting a golden light over the wreckage of the battle, Odysseus felt a bittersweet victory swell within him. They had escaped the Sirens, but the storm had taken its toll. The sea was a merciless mistress, and the battle was far from over. As the horizon glowed with the promise of a new day, Odysseus gazed into the distance, his heart heavy yet hopeful. The path ahead was fraught with dangers yet undiscovered, but heroes were not forged in ease, they were tempered by trials. With the crew restored to silence, Odysseus' mind raced with the weight of what lay ahead. The gods watched, and though their punishments stung like bitter rain, he would face them all. His journey was far from over, and fate had woven a tale that would echo through the annals of time. Thus, the legend of Odysseus continued, a testament to the strength of will, the bonds of brotherhood, and the unyielding quest for belonging amidst the chaos of the gods. Part 2, The Wrath of Poseidon. As dawn illuminated the wreckage of their battle, Odysseus pulled himself free from the ropes that had bound him. His muscles ached, yet within him burned a fire ignited by the struggle against the Sirens and the wrath of the storm. The Nausicaa, battered but intact, remained afloat, though its hull bore the scars of the tempest. Eurylochus, having shaken off the remnants of fear, approached his king, his face a mix of admiration and dread. "We live, Odysseus, but the gods are not finished with us. Poseidon's anger is a storm that will not easily abate." Odysseus nodded, his gaze drifting to the horizon where the sea met the sky. "Then we shall face his fury together. We are warriors, and our journey is not over. We will not bow to the whims of immortals." His words, fierce and defiant, resonated with the weary crew, igniting a glimmer of hope amidst their fatigue. The fierce wind still howled, and dark clouds loomed ominously above. As if summoned by the very thought of vengeance, a colossal wave, taller than the tallest mast, surged toward them, a living embodiment of Poseidon's wrath. The sea roared, and the crew scrambled for their stations, hearts pounding like war drums. "Steady, brothers!" Odysseus commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We have faced death before, and we shall face it again, but not today. Hold fast." The ship creaked and groaned as they braced against the impending onslaught. With a crack that echoed like thunder, the wave crashed down upon them. Water engulfed the vessel, drenching every man, and for a moment all was chaos as the ocean swallowed them whole. But beneath the torrent, something stirred. A massive shape, dark and enigmatic, rose from the dead cell Leviathan, the guardian of the sea's darkest secrets. Its eyes glowed like molten gold, and its scales shimmered with the colors of the abyss. "Foolish mortals," it bellowed, its voice reverberating like an earthquake. "You dare defy the god of the sea? I am the harbinger of Poseidon's vengeance. Your journey ends here." Odysseus, gritting his teeth, stood firm. "We are not so easily undone. My fate is my own, and I will not perish by the hand of a monster nor the will of a god." He grabbed a spear from the deck, feeling a surge of ancient courage coursing through his veins. With the crew rallying behind him, they fought against the waves, their desperation transforming into a fierce determination. The Leviathan lunged, its maw opening wide, revealing rows of teeth as sharp as daggers. "Attack!" Odysseus roared, leading the charge. Eurylochus and the crew held spears with unyielding fury, striking against the creature's armored hide. The beast recoiled, its roar mingling with the crash of the waves, a symphony of chaos as the sea raged around them. But the Leviathan was relentless. It thrashed its tail, sending the Nausicaa asterisk into a wild spin. "Your hope is folly," it roared. "You are but mere mortals, you cannot withstand the power of the ocean." As the crew struggled to regain control, Odysseus spotted a glint of silver, a harpoon lodged in a Leviathan's flank, a remnant of a long-lost battle. A plan ignited in his mind. He had to get to that harpoon. "Eurylochus," he shouted, urgency lacing his words. "Cover me, I will retrieve that harpoon." Understanding the peril of their situation, Eurylochus rallied the crew. "Hold the line, we will not let this beast take our king." With shields raised and spears poised, they formed a protective barrier around Odysseus, who leaped to the edge of the ship. The Leviathan, sensing its prey, lunged forward, jaws snapping perilously close. Odysseus ducked and rolled, diving into the water's depths, the cold wrapping around him like an icy shroud. He swam with purpose, fighting against the pull of the currents, his heart hammering in his chest. Emerging beside the harpoon, he gripped it tightly, feeling the weight of its history and power. He glanced back toward the surface, where chaos reigned on the ship. With a mighty heave, he pulled the harpoon free, the creature thrashing above him. "Here," he shouted, breaking the surface, just as a wave crashed over the Nausicaa asterisk, drenching the crew. "I have it." Eurylochus rushed to his side, eyes wide with admiration and fear. "Now, Odysseus, throw it, we must strike true." With a determined roar, Odysseus raised the harpoon high, its tip gleaming with the sunlight piercing through the storm clouds. He aimed at the spot where he had seen the creature's flesh bleed, the wounds of its past battles now as guide. "By the gods, let this strike be true," he shouted, and with a powerful thrust, he hurled the harpoon toward the Leviathan. Time slowed as the weapon flew, glinting ominously through the air. The creature turned, its golden eyes locking onto the harpoon, but it was too late. The harpoon struck true, embedding itself deep within the beast's flank. The Leviathan roared, a sound that shook the heavens. It writhed in agony, thrashing against the waters, creating waves that threatened to capsize the ship. "You will pay for this, mortal," that hell, fury and pain intertwining in its voice. But the creature was not defeated yet. With a final, desperate surge of strength, it unleashed a torrent of water that surged toward the Nausicaa asterisk, sending the ship reeling back. The crew struggled to maintain their footing as they were drenched in a deluge. "Steady, hold firm," Odysseus shouted, his voice a beacon amidst the chaos. "We have defeated the Sirens, and we will not falter now." As the Leviathan thrashed and writhed, the tempest began to calm. The wind softened, and the clouds started to part, revealing glimpses of blue sky. It was as if the gods were watching, their interest piqued by the spectacle of man challenging beast. In that moment of vulnerability, Odysseus seized the opportunity. "Eurylochus, now, we will finish this." He leaped back onto the deck, rallying his crew as the Leviathan faltered, its great form quaking in the water, weakened by the harpoon's strike. With the last vestiges of strength, Odysseus led the charge once more, his heart pounding with purpose. They encircled the creature, spears and swords raised high. "This is our moment. Let it be known that we will not be cowed by gods or monsters." With a collective cry, they plunged their weapons into the Leviathan, each strike a testament to their resolve. The creature, now weakened and desperate, thrashed one last time, its golden eyes dimming as the light of life fled from them. With a final cry, the Leviathan sank below the waves, leaving only a ripple in its wake. The crew stood in stunned silence, breathless from the battle they had just fought, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Odysseus, chest heaving, looked around at his men, their faces a mix of triumph and disbelief. "We have survived, brothers, we have faced the storm, faced the beast, and we have emerged victorious. This day shall be remembered." Cheers erupted, echoing over the gentle lap of the waves. But even amidst their victory, Odysseus felt the weight of the gods' gaze upon him. Poseidon was not a being to forget slights easily. As the sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden light over the Nausicaa asterisk, Odysseus knew that new trials awaited them on the horizon. "Prepare the ship," he commanded, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that loomed. "We sail onward. The world is vast, and we are but humble travelers upon its tides. There are more monsters to face, more gods to appease, but today, we are alive. Today, we write our destiny." And so, as the sea calmed, the crew of the Nausicaa set their course anew, bound not just by duty but by the unbreakable bonds forged in the fires of adversity. The tale of their encounter with the Leviathan would join their legend, a reminder that even in the face of divine wrath, they would not be broken. Odysseus, gazing into the distance, felt the stirrings of fate guiding them forward. The horizon was a canvas, and with each stroke of the oar, they painted their destiny anew, unfurling the sails of hope against the backdrop of endless possibility. Part 3: The Trials of Fate. As the Nausicaa drifted into calmer waters, the crew celebrated their hard-won victory over the Leviathan. Yet, Odysseus could feel a lingering unease, a whisper of darkness beneath the surface that hinted at greater challenges ahead. The gods were not done with him yet. Eurylochus, he called, his voice steady but laced with resolve. Gather the men, we must prepare ourselves. The sea is a fickle mistress, and Poseidon's wrath may still be upon us. The loyal warrior nodded, rallying the crew, their laughter and cheers a stark contrast to the solemnity creeping into Odysseus' heart. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, a figure approached, a silhouette against the setting sun. It was Athena, goddess of wisdom, her presence commanding and ethereal. Odysseus felt an instant warmth deep within, a comfort amidst the chaos. "Wise Odysseus," she spoke, her voice a gentle breeze that cut through the noise. "Your spirit shines in the face of danger, but heed my warning. Poseidon is not finished. The ocean's fury, like the tempest in your heart, is a storm that brews yet." Odysseus bowed his head slightly, respect flowing through him. "Goddess, I have faced many trials, and while the sea may rise against me, I will not yield. Tell me, what must I do to appease Poseidon?" Athena's eyes glimmered with the wisdom of ages. "You must seek out the Isle of Thalasher, find the Temple of the Sea, and offer a sacrifice worthy of Poseidon's favor. Only then can you navigate the waters without his wrath. Then we set sail at first light," Odysseus declared, his resolve cemented by Athena's guidance. As she faded into the twilight, he felt the weight of destiny pressing upon him, a mantle he had borne since the day he first set out to reclaim his home. The crew, now somber and resolute, prepared for the journey ahead. Night cloaked the sea in darkness, but the stars twinkled like distant beacons of hope. Odysseus glanced at his men warriors who had fought alongside him through the darkest of storms. Their bond was forged in trials, each scar a testament to their shared struggle. As dawn broke, the horizon shimmered with golden light. The Nausicaa caught the wind, and they sailed onward, the promise of Thalasher drawing closer with each passing moment. But with every stroke of the oars, a sense of foreboding gnawed at Odysseus. The sea surged ominously, as if aware of their intent. "Look!" shouted one of the sailors, pointing toward a shadow sweeping across the waves. A thick fog rolled in, swallowing the ship in an ethereal embrace. The air grew heavy, charged with the magic of the deep. Odysseus felt it, an ancient power awakening beneath the waves. Out of the mist emerged a figure, a tall woman clad in flowing robes, her hair cascading like the waves themselves. She was Amphitrite, the queen of the sea, and her presence commanded reverence. "Odysseus, bane of monsters, seeker of truth," she intoned, her voice echoing like a ripple across the water. "You dare approach the temple of the sea? Know that the journey is fraught with peril. Here, at the edge of mortality and divinity, your choices will shape your fate." "I seek only to appease Poseidon," Odysseus professed, standing firm against the ocean's tide. "I do not wish to defy the gods, but to honor them, to find my way home." Amphitrite's gaze pierced through him. "Then heed this warning. The trials of Thalasher will test your spirit. Only the pure of heart will prevail. The weak will be claimed by the depths." With a wave of her hand, the fog began to lift, revealing the jagged cliffs of Thalasher. The temple stood proud, adorned with corals and shells, an offering of the sea's bounty. But as Odysseus' gaze turned toward the entrance, another shadow loomed, their massive whirlpool, swirling with tempestuous energy, threatening to swallow them whole. "Prepare for impact," Odysseus commanded, his voice a clarion call amidst the rising chaos. The crew scrambled, their muscles taut with tension as they fought against the overwhelming force of the whirlpool. "Steady the ship, hold your course." As they battled the currents, Odysseus felt the pull of the ocean, a siren's call that echoed the haunting melodies of the sirens themselves. "Resist it, we are stronger than this," he shouted, rallying his men with a fierce resolve that surged through the air like lightning. With a final push, the Nausicaa broke free from the whirlpool's grasp, sailing into the calm waters beside the island. They had survived, but the trials were only beginning. Stepping ashore, Odysseus felt the weight of destiny on his shoulders, the whispers of the sea urging him forward. As they approached the temple, a deep rumble emanated from within, accompanied by flickers of blue light. Odysseus led his crew through the entrance, where luminescent sea creatures illuminated the sacred space. At the heart of the temple, an altar awaited, carved from smooth stone and adorned with offerings from sailors long past. "Here we shall make our sacrifice," he said, his voice steady. "Gather what we have, a portion of our provisions, a token of our journey, and the finest wine from Mythica." As the crew placed their offerings upon the altar, the air thickened with an electric tension. The waters at the base of the altar began to churn, swirling violently as if stirred by an unseen force. "Poseidon," Odysseus shouted, his voice echoing through the chamber. "I honor you with this gift, hear my plea." In response, the waters erupted, and Poseidon emerged, a towering figure wreathed in sea foam, his trident glistening with the power of storms. "You dare summon me, Odysseus," he bellowed, his voice like thunder, resonating through the very stones of the temple. "You who defied my Sirens and challenged my Leviathan. I defy no lord of the waves." Odysseus replied, standing resolute against the goddess' wrath. "I seek only passage to return to my home and reclaim what is rightfully mine. I offer my respect, my loyalty." Poseidon's gaze bore down upon him, the weight of the ocean behind his eyes. "You are bold, mortal, but your journey has not been without consequence. Sacrifice is demanded for the favor you seek." "What must I give?" Odysseus asked, fear and determination intertwining. "Tell me, and it shall be done." With a flick of his trident, Poseidon summoned visions of Odysseus' journey, his battles, his losses, the faces of loved ones waiting at home. "One life for your passage," the god intoned. "You must choose a life among your men or the spirit of one who has fallen to your hand. Choose wisely, for the ocean's depths are unforgiving." Odysseus felt his heart race. He had faced monsters, endured storms, yet this choice lay heavy upon his soul. The bonds of brotherhood called to him, a testament to their shared sacrifices. But the thought of losing one of his crew, of condemning a brave soul to the depths, felt like an insurmountable weight. "Poseidon," he said, his voice trembling with emotion, "the bond we share's words cannot be severed. I will not trade a life for my own desires. Instead, let my spirit be bound to the sea, a guardian for those who traverse its waters after me." The temple trembled, and Poseidon's eyes narrowed, contemplating the depth of Odysseus' resolve. "A noble heart indeed, Odysseus. You may yet prove worthy, but know this, should you falter again, the ocean will claim what it desires." With a gesture, the god bestowed his favor upon the Norse, and the waters calmed around them. "Sail forth, Odysseus, and let your spirit guide your men, but remember the sea is a fickle mistress." As the mist lifted from Thalasha, Odysseus turned to his crew, his heart swelling with pride. "Brothers, we have faced the trials of gods and monsters, and we have emerged triumphant." He raised his arms, the sun catching the glint of his armor. "Let us sail homeward, for we are bound by honor, by blood, and by the unbreakable spirit of our journey." Cheers erupted, and the crew embraced one another, hearts ablaze with renewed hope. The Norse set sail once more, gliding through the waters, the horizon stretching before them a canvas of endless possibility. But deep beneath the surface, the ocean stirred, and Poseidon watched, his keen eyes reflecting the currents of fate. For Odysseus' journey was far from over, and the tides of destiny wove intricate patterns yet to part forward the tides of destiny. As the Norse sailed forth from the Isle of Thalasha, the crew felt the weight of Poseidon's favor upon them. The ocean's calm was an ephemeral blessing, a momentary respite from the trials they had overcome. Yet, deep in Odysseus' heart, a storm brewed, one of uncertainty and foreboding. The gods were fickle, and he could feel their eyes upon him. "Steady now, brothers," Odysseus called, his voice ringing out over the gentle lap of the waves. "Today, we sail not just for Ithaca but for each other. We carry the memory of our fallen comrades, the spirits of those who could not endure." His words were a balm, but the horizon ahead sparkled with deceptive tranquility. Eurylochus stood at the helm, his brow furrowed. "Aye, Odysseus, but the sea is not to be trusted. Poseidon may have given us a reprieve, yet I sense a tempest brewing, even if it lies hidden beneath the surface." His gaze darted toward the horizon, where dark clouds began to gather once more, creeping like shadows across the waters. Odysseus nodded, feeling the pulse of the ocean as if it were his own. "Let us remain vigilant. We have faced storms before, and we will face them again, together." His heart swelled with pride for his men, forged in battles that wove them into an unbreakable thread of brotherhood. Yet as they sailed onward, the winds shifted, carrying with them whispers of dread. The calm waters began to churn, the gentle waves transforming into a frothy tumult. "Prepare for the worst," Odysseus commanded, his voice resolute, as the ship rocked violently beneath them. Suddenly, a roar erupted from beneath the depths, a sound that reverberated through the hull and into their bones, a sound that chilled them to their very souls. A massive shape surged upward, breaking through the surface like an ancient leviathan. It was Scylla, the six-headed monster, transformed into a vengeful spectre of the deep. Her eyes glowed with an insatiable hunger, each head snapping and snarling, a cacophony of rage and fury. "Brace yourselves," Odysseus shouted, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "We will not surrender to this beast. Ready your weapons." The crew sprang into action, hands trembling as they gripped their spears and swords, their hearts pounding in unison. "Odysseus," Eurylochus bellowed, fear evident in his voice as he pointed toward the monstrous figure. "We cannot fight her alone. We must navigate away before she draws too close. The whirlpools will capsize us." "Meth?" Odysseus roared, steeling his resolve. "We will not flee. This is a challenge wrought by the gods, and I will not cower before them. We will fight." The beast lunged, her head snapping towards the ship, razor-sharp teeth glinting like daggers. In that moment, Odysseus felt the weight of his destiny pressing upon him. He reached for his bow, strung taut with resolve. "Aim for her eyes. We will blind the beast and buy ourselves time to escape." With a swift motion, he nocked an arrow and released it. The arrow flew true, striking true into the left eye of one head, causing it to roar in pain. The crew rallied behind him, launching their weapons into the fray as the other heads thrashed wildly, opening wide to reveal rows of serrated teeth. "Yet another battle?" Eurylochus cried, hurling his spear into the snapping jaws of one head. The spear pierced through flesh, causing the beast to recoil and howl in torment, but Scylla was relentless. She swung her bodies against the ship, sending it rocking perilously upon the waves. "Hold on!" Odysseus shouted as he grasped the rigging, his muscles straining against the ship's violent movements. "We will not fall as long as we fight together." But the creature was formidable. Another head lunged forward, snapping at Odysseus' feet, and in a desperate act of survival, he leaped aside. "Steady the ship, we must gain control." His heart raced, and he could feel the eyes of his crew on him, each man looking to him for guidance as they faced the greatest challenge. Eurylochus, ever steadfast, rallied men. "We shall avenge our fallen brothers. Stand firm." With renewed determination, they threw themselves into battle, lashing out at the beast with everything they had. The air was thick with the smell of salt and sweat, mingling with the roars of the creature and the cries of the crew. Yet Scylla was relentless, her head darting back and forth like serpents, seeking to find the weakest link among them. One by one, she struck, and Odysseus felt his heart sink as he heard a cry of anguish from the ship. "No," he shouted, but the chaos was overwhelming. "Odysseus," Eurylochus called, his voice laced with panic. "We are being overwhelmed. We must retreat or risk losing everything." "Retreat? Never!" Odysseus bellowed, his resolve hardening like iron. "We stand here today against the wrath of the gods. We must rise or fall as one." He scanned the chaotic scene, his mind racing for a plan. He spotted a cluster of rocks jutting from the water's edge, a possible escape, but it would take precision and courage. "Eurylochus, gather your strength. We will maneuver the asterisk, Nausicaa asterisk, toward the rocks." Odysseus shouted, his voice cutting through the din of battle. "Aye!" Eurylochus roared back, determination igniting in his eyes. "All hands, we follow the captain." With a fierce rallying cry, they turned the ship toward the jagged outcroppings. Scylla, sensing their intent, lunged forward, her mouth snapping violently at the men on deck. Odysseus, poised at the bow, drew back his bowstring once more, aiming for the closest head. "Now, brothers, aim true." Tension filled the air, the arrows flew, piercing into Scylla's bodies. The creature howled, thrashing wildly, but their aim was true. With every shot, they weakened her resolve until, at last, one head fell, splashing into the abyss. The waters churned around them, and in the chaos, they found their opportunity. "Now, push forward!" Odysseus yelled, rallying the last of their strength as they navigated the ship closer to the rocks. With adrenaline surging, they maneuvered through the narrow passage, the beast thrashing behind them. But Scylla was not done yet. As they neared the craggy shore, one final head lunged, snapping down just as the Nausicaa asterisk surged through. Odysseus felt the impact as she struck the stern, the force nearly knocking him off his feet. "Hold steady," he shouted, as a wave crashed over the deck, sending men wobbling. They were nearly through, and with a final push, they burst free, the ship skimming along the rocky edge. Panting, they finally reached the calm waters beyond, and the crew erupted into cheers, their hearts buoyed by survival. They had faced the depths of darkness and emerged victorious against Scylla. But even in their euphoria, Odysseus' heart weighed heavy. He turned back to where Scylla thrashed in the distance, her cries haunting the air like a mournful song. "We have survived, but at what cost?" he whispered, a bitter pang echoing in his chest for those they had lost. Eurylochus approached, placing a hand on Odysseus' shoulder. "We live, my friend. We shall honor those we lost, and from their sacrifice, we will draw strength." Odysseus nodded, a flicker of determination igniting within him. "Then sail forth, my brothers. We shall dedicate our journey to the fallen, and we will tell their tales. They will be remembered among the stars." As the sun began to set, casting hues of orange and violet across the sky, the crew set their course once more, riding the tides of destiny toward Ithaca. The ocean lay before them, vast and tumultuous, but they had proven their mettle against the gods. Even with the weight of their losses, a spirit of hope kindled within them, reminding Odysseus that they were not mere travelers but heroes, bound together in their quest for home. And as they sailed into the twilight, the horizon glimmered with the promise of new adventures, challenges, and the unfurling of their legacy, a legacy it would echo through the annals of time.